Warning: the episode you are about to listen to most likely contains graphic language, details of violence and murder, and may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised. Hey everybody! It's us again.
Hello there. Welcome to episode 9 of Murder with My Mother.
Part 2 of Paul, Bernardo, and Karla Homolka. We hope you guys enjoyed last episode, and then we made you guys wait 2 weeks.
I hope the suspense didn't kill you.
I know. I talked to a couple people and they're like, no, my God. I thought it was going to be one part. I was like, nope.
Sorry, we ran out of time. I'd like to keep you guys held on for a little bit longer.
I had a dentist appointment, so.
I didn't have anything.
No, mom likes to go home after work and
go to
bed pretty much. So, well, it is beginning of the end of our maybe weird year that we've had.
Hopefully it doesn't continue on another year or two.
Well, with the vaccine, I mean, everyone's kind of like black and white with like either gonna take it or they're not gonna take it. So
yeah, it's crazy how everyone's personalities are coming out and humanity is being revealed right before our very eyes. Very interesting.
Facebook?
Yeah.
Honestly, there's a lot of weird people that I've had to take off my Facebook that I didn't even know were weird before.
Well, they might be listening right now.
Well, I don't care. Like, if I didn't take you off, then you're not that weird. But there's some people that are like they will not wear a mask because it's infringing on their rights. Like, okay, I understand that you have rights, yes, but we're in the middle of a global pandemic. So the mask is not for you. It's for other people to be courteous. Because what if you're asymptomatic and you're just carrying it around and like they punch people in the face because they won't wear a mask or like weird shit like that. That's weird. You don't hit somebody because you don't want to wear a mask. If you go to a store and they're like, put your mask on, please. Like, this is our policy. You don't punch the worker. Like, what?
I've known lots of people actually that have been diagnosed that are asymptomatic.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. I like to call it the Little Red Riding Hood disease because it's like, it's not coming for you. It's coming on you to follow you to your grandma's house and get your grandma or your grandma, right?
Actually, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, so keep our old loved ones safe and the ones we don't love. Even keep them safe. We want to keep everybody safe. So, do your part, wash your hands, don't be gross, wear your mask.
Don't pick your nose.
But do it at home and like...
wash your hands after.
Yeah. So here we go for part 2 of Karla Homolka and Paul Bernardo. It's hard to say really fast, so...
So last time we left off, right when the police had questioned Paul Bernardo, they realized that they had not gotten his DNA sample back yet.
Okay, so it's come to light that he was super cocky and confident for no reason because they didn't even test his DNA yet. It was still sitting there waiting to be tested?
Yeah, it was sitting there waiting to be tested. They didn't even really think it was him because he was so confident and cocky. Yeah. But once they called, the other police called them back, actually. They said they hadn't tested it yet. And right around that same time was when Karla had moved out. In with friends, as we said before.
Yeah,
with family, sorry.
After he brutally beat her up with a flashlight and she charged him for assault, right?
Yeah, so she charged him with assault and then Paul's DNA test results came in and it was confirmed he was the Scarborough rapist.
Guy was overconfident from the beginning.
Yeah, totally narcissistic. So the police called Karla in to have a little chat with her. And she thought it was about the assault that Paul had done on her and quickly realized through the questioning that it was actually about the Scarborough rapes and the fact that they were connecting the murders all together. So they interviewed her for 5 hours, and after which she went home basically and had a nervous breakdown.
Yeah, I don't blame her. Imagine, they're right on your tail. You don't know what they know, and cops are sneaky.
So she went home and confessed to her uncle that Paul was a Scarborough rapist and that he had killed Kristen French and Leslie Mahaffey.
And she probably said it so because like you said, she was in the middle of a breakdown and nothing she's saying probably is making sense and she's telling him all this stuff and the family really liked Paul, so they probably were a little bit like, wait, what? And clearly she probably was visibly having a nervous breakdown.
Yeah, well, she ended up in the psych ward shortly after that. And
So
what,
yeah, visible nervous
yeah,
breakdown.
visibly.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And while she was in the psych ward, she wrote a letter to her family professing her and Paul's guilt over raping and killing her sister, her own sister, Tammy.
Which the family had absolutely no idea that that was even. Obviously, they knew that they were drinking together, and she tried to resuscitate her after she choked and all that stuff. But who would think that that's what really happened, and for her to detail it all in the psych ward, like,
Yeah, and in the letter, she said that Paul had forced her to do it and that he was in love with her sister Tammy, and she only went along with it because he was abusing her and forcing her to do it. And
yeah, she played the victim.
yeah, she played the victim like she always does. And she
Well, if it
got
works for you, yeah.
well, it had worked
Yeah,
up until this point for sure.
exactly.
And she also confessed to her family that she had brought the drugs home from the vet clinic and that she would prefer to kill herself. She's thought about it often. She would take the place of Tammy if she could. She never meant to hurt her little Tammy skins.
Yeah, that
And
creeps me out that she even referred to her as Tammy Skins and then she actually signed off the letter XOXO.
yeah, it was
After
pretty.
you just professed, like you're just confessing to killing their youngest daughter, or
Yeah, and she said the reason she didn't kill herself is because she didn't want to put her family through losing another daughter and another sister.
nice. She's very
Dot.
very selfless.
Yeah, very.
Yeah, it's a very selfless act right there. After being in the psych ward and sending that to your family, and then finding out that your husband is arrested,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's obviously all going to be, and not knowing if the people are going to know what he's going to say and what he's going to be able to prove. And she's probably thinking about all of that. And yeah, I mean, that would, if there's cause for a nervous breakdown, like,
Yeah.
that's it.
So she immediately, when she got out of jail, or when she got out of the psych ward, sorry, she retained a lawyer. And it happened to have been a person she already knew that used to bring his dog to her vet clinic. So she told her lawyer that she had knowledge of the murders and the fact that Paul was the Scarborough rapist and that she would like to make a deal. Of course she would like to
Of
make a
course.
deal.
And it's Canada, so hello, welcome to your deal making.
And at this point, they didn't really have anything else. So
Well, and
listening.
how like, because every time I'm gonna say this about this case, but like every time you're interviewed or you're anything, nobody's gonna think that this is actually what's going on, because what, like, again, what are the chances, what are the odds that these two evil people would meet each other and get married? But so seeing that, she looked like a visible victim, because even the assault, he
Yeah.
fucked her up pretty bad.
Especially, yeah, like he rattled her brain right against her eyeballs.
Yeah, and so really not knowing that this is after they've completed all of these things together, and knowingly she was willingly involved, like she was a willing participant in, obviously that hasn't come out yet because nobody has seen that, but like we told you guys earlier, you know, they had a real thing for filming it.
Yeah.
Which each their own, but when you're filming things that could possibly put you in jail for the rest of your life, you should, I don't know, probably get rid of them. But these guys are weirdos and we all know that, so they like to keep those things
The tokens.
near. Yep.
So the police did a 3-month search warrant on their little house. And the only thing that came up was that Paul had a penchant for sadistic sex books, pornography, serial killer books. And they did find one video, and that video was the rape of Jane Doe, the friend that she had brought home from the vet clinic.
Who still didn't know that she was even a victim at this point.
She had no idea. And that was it. So Karla got her deal made and she agreed to plead to manslaughter. The deal was kept very, very hush-hush from the whole public. There was a publication ban put on and no one really knew what was going on in the background.
Yeah, they probably knew that making that deal wasn't a good idea, because she obviously had said, you know, I'll give you for the information, because they didn't have much else to go on. So they're going to take what they can get. But to say, oh, I was a victim, I was this, I was that, and obviously from their end, I don't think it was what comes out later as being like, okay, oh no, what did we do? I don't think, right? Because I don't think
Well,
that there would have been much. Nobody's gonna think that this girl just was like, yeah, let's rape my sister and kill
no.
all these teenagers and have sex slaves, and
Well,
nobody.
and her own psychiatrist from her time in the psych ward wrote a big reference letter basically saying that, in his opinion, that she had participated because she was a victim of abuse. She knew what she was doing, but she didn't feel like she had the ability to help herself or others at the time. So she went along with it as to not be abused more by Paul because he was a brutal abuser to her. Meanwhile, after the police had finished the search of the house, Paul asked his lawyer to go into their bathroom, unscrew a pot light, and take some videotapes that were in there.
Oh, the jackpot,
Yeah.
the trophies.
He also told his lawyer not to watch the tapes. But after 3 months,
I'm more inclined to do things when people tell me not to. Like, for sure, he watched them.
so he watched them
Of
and
course,
against Paul's recommendation.
human nature. What do you do?
However, he did not turn them in to the police. He just sat on them and kept them, which
Well, when that's your client and that is damning evidence, is that not illegal to keep
It is
that?
illegal, yeah.
But again, having that be your client, then that okay, they're on these two girls that are dead.
three girls.
Three
Tammy
girls,
was
well,
on
and
there
Tom and
also.
Tammy, exactly. But the two girls that they know of, because they don't know of Tammy, right? They didn't think because she wasn't considered someone that was kidnapped and missing. So it was really Kristen French and Leslie Mahaffey. But seeing them on a videotape, like what's the chances they got raped on this videotape and then he let them go and someone else murdered them? None.
Well, exactly. And there was also video of more disturbing things. Like there was a video made 3 weeks after they had killed Tammy that showed them what they called a fireside chat. And Paul and Karla were walking around the house filming the area, the rumpus room that they killed her in, her bedroom. Karla admits that she enjoyed killing her sister Tammy and watching the sex act between Tammy and Paul. And she also dressed up like Tammy in Tammy's clothes, and they proceeded to have sex on the videotape.
Yeah, like you feel so horrible. Like you just told your family you're consumed with guilt.
Yeah.
Like I think she was consumed with, oh no, I'm about to be caught and outed for she's raped her sister. She's the one that initiated that and they died. And like I said in the last episode, I'm pretty sure she's the reason for the murdering. Like I don't think that I think Paul was cool with just having sex with them and brutalizing them, yes, but the murder, I really think that it was her wanting that. Like,
Well, I don't
yeah.
think he ever thought he would get caught because he was so egotistical.
Yeah.
She didn't kill them because she was going to get caught. If she killed them, it was because she enjoyed killing.
Yeah.
That's
Because,
the whole thing,
well,
the
another
difference.
thing too, yeah, like we said, he was out committing rapes for like years. Like he was out
Yeah.
there raping for years, and that's only the ones we know about. There are rapes also. There's one rape that happened in Hawaii when they were there on their honeymoon, and the only reason that they even tied it that may be related is when they did the search of the house, they found an article of that rape. Again, this guy.
Trophy.
Yeah, this guy loves to keep things that other people wouldn't know. I mean, okay, find newspaper clippings of something and it's someone that just happens to be a serial killer that has that clipping, like in every episode of Forensic Files or Dateline or 2020 or any of that, right?
Yeah.
American Justice, like any of them, it's always, oh, okay, these people have all these clippings of this and
Or
they
500 pairs of underwear.
yeah, or everything cataloged, or they keep the victim's jewelry and they give it to their wives or they loved ones so that they can see people wearing that. Or so keeping this newspaper clipping, and it happened to happen in Hawaii at the same time they were there for their honeymoon. What? Okay, clearly that's connected. So how many of them are there that they have no idea about? So he was clearly cool with raping and brutalizing, but the murder, like, just screams to me that Karla is the one that wanted to murder because she wanted to get rid of these people because she didn't want her husband. She was jealous, like super jealous.
Well, and also when Paul was questioned about the Scarborough rapes after they got his DNA, he confessed to everything about the rapes, but the police didn't get him a lawyer when he requested one, so it was all completely inadmissible. But he admitted to all that stuff, and the one thing he never admitted to, he admitted to that, he admitted to kidnapping, raping,
beating up Karla.
Yeah.
He can all that
but
stuff.
he said with each murder victim, with Kristen French and Leslie Mahaffey, he was not home when they were murdered.
Well, and I believe him.
Yeah, me
I know
too.
he's not a very credible guy, and he's not obviously a stand-up citizen, but I believe him against her for sure.
Yeah. And she had already made her deal at this point. So the fact that the lawyer didn't turn in the tapes before Karla made her deal
Obviously,
screwed everybody,
yeah.
because Karla got away with it.
Well, and when they come out later, the knowledge of knowing that she made that deal, and she got manslaughter. Like that's what she agreed to be charged with, was manslaughter, which, okay, if you're gonna ask me, this is like, what is before first degree murder? Because
Yeah.
that is what she should be charged with. Because
Yeah, at least second degree murder.
well, and then you think about it too, because it's her baby sister. For her, I feel like it was so premeditated. Like she probably wanted to kill her for like years, and then she did. Like,
Yeah.
so.
No, she definitely had sibling rivalry and jealousy and
Well, and the fact that she was trying to give her sister's virginity to her fiance for Christmas as a Christmas gift, I don't know. Just that's not on the top of my list, or
no.
my giving or my receiving list.
No. She was charged with manslaughter and freed on bail on May the 18th. And on May the 19th, Bernardo was charged with 2 counts of first degree kidnapping, sexual assault, 2 counts of first degree murder, and indignity to a body. So he got the bigger end of the charges for
Of
sure.
course,
because
yeah.
he was the one that made her do it all.
Well, she was the victim. She
Yeah.
was forced to do all this stuff. Which, again, when you are on the law side of this, the legal side is going to see a victim of abuse. Oh my goodness, she's young. She was so young when she met him. She had no previous this. He is a rapist, and he's admitted to all these rapes.
Well, and I think also when you look at her in the trial, like if you ever see pictures of her in that trial, she was like a conundrum. She was dressed like almost like a schoolgirl with bangs. And
Oh yeah, she looks so angelic.
But then she had this dark hooker makeup on. Like
Yeah.
it was a weird situation.
I recall you said last time too, when she talks about it, when you see interviews with her.
Yeah, she's dead inside.
Yeah, which you don't just get like that.
No.
That's not something that just happens.
Yeah, like when I said before, when she was talking about Kristen French being at the house and it was Easter, and she was like, Paul wanted to keep her for longer, but I knew she had to go.
Because what if she escaped?
Yeah, what if she escaped?
No, yeah,
So she was convicted after a 4-month trial of manslaughter and sentenced to 12 years in jail.
And that was in total. So that's for everything
Yeah,
that she was
everything.
involved in.
Yeah.
And her parents sat there in
Yeah, they
support
were
of her.
supportive.
Which I asked you if you would be in support of me if I killed my brother.
And I said, no way.
No. Wink, wink.
So July the 5th, the judge ordered a delay on publication. So this was the day before she was convicted. He decided that none of the information that was revealed in her case was going to be published in Canada so that it didn't bias any jury. But they still published it in the United States and in Europe, and people were actually going crazy over the details. Like,
oh yeah, because it's fucked up.
Yeah, police were charging people that were seeking out details from other countries.
Yeah.
Like, that was unheard of.
Even look at the infamy they still have. You know how many requests I got for this case? Like,
Yeah.
so many of you guys know this case. And again, because it was 2 people that look like Ken and Barbie, and like, really, they murdered her sister. They're out raping all these people. They killed these 2 teenage girls. Like, they're like sick and sadistic and twisted, and they look like your neighbor. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
it was very, 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 very crazy. Like nothing we'd ever seen before.
No, exactly. So the fact that people were trying to sneaking that stuff, you know, you hear of like people sneaking like other stuff in the country, but if it's like, oh, newspapers and well, that's the thing about true crime. Even look at us from the podcast. Like obviously
Yeah.
people are enamored with true crime. Like you can't understand, especially when it's something super twisted.
Well, it's so fascinating to see you can't even understand what makes someone's brain like that work, but it's like a train wreck you can't look away from.
Yeah.
And especially when the victims are such innocent, little young women just coming into their own. And I mean, that's horrifying.
Well, yeah.
Also, they're not even anyone that's ever done anything to deserve anything like that in their lives.
Well, and they're taken for a sick, twisted, like selfish pleasure, right? There's no rhyme or reason to who you are. It's just, oh, you're young and you look like I could victimize you, and that's exactly just that's the thing about crime and random crime and
depravity.
Yeah, you never know who the person next to you could be or what they could be capable of. So, Mom, don't look at me like that.
So, in 1994, Paul's trial is set to begin. They were going to do a preliminary hearing to make sure that they had enough evidence to go to trial, blah, blah, blah. That was canceled. And they were actually just going to send him straight to trial because it was so depraved and they didn't need any more evidence. They, at this point, Karla had testified about everything. They still didn't have the tapes yet, but they figured they had enough because they had, it's actually a right to not testify against your spouse.
Yeah.
So, but she had agreed to save her own.
Which they were probably like, woohoo! Like, yay! Like, when would we ever get this chance again? Like, thinking she is this victim that was coaxed into this because she was abused, right?
Exactly.
But
all because of the flashlight to the head brought her a lot of credibility.
Yeah, honestly, she should count her lucky stars that he did that.
So in May, he actually entered a not guilty plea for all of the charges, but his lawyer must have just been going crazy. He's probably ready for the psych ward also.
He probably got admitted into the psych ward. Damn.
Well, he quit finally in September before the trial was supposed to start. And
well, you probably know you're gonna lose because you know that this guy he looks like a good, like he, you know.
Well, if it ever came out that he had gone through that trial and not given those tapes to the police, he would be right in jail with him. So he quit. And another lawyer, John Rosen, took over, but he said he needs several more months because he's just like all of a sudden got this case dropped into his lap.
So obviously he's not ready for a trial. He wants to be able to rightfully defend, right?
Even just right himself. Like, what the hell, man? Like, he's probably swept up like the rest of the country in this crazy, bizarre stuff.
And again, this was the early 90s. So this was like, there's not stuff that really happened like that. And
And so it got even weirder for the new lawyer because the old lawyer on September the 12th, guess what? He gives him the tapes. September the 12th, the old lawyer gives Rosen the tapes, and Rosen hands them to the police.
Maybe because he was obviously a good guy, or a better guy than the last guy.
Well, that's the law.
Yeah, because the other guy, for practicing law, he really didn't have a sense of right and wrong.
Yeah.
Which is scary because, you know, what people will do, like, especially you're in law, and you just watch videotapes of all these innocent young teenage girls getting raped and murdered, and you don't think
and he actually had a daughter the same age, the first lawyer, and he said it was so sickening. He watched the tapes by himself, the first lawyer.
Over and over and over again?
I don't know, like, what was up, but...
Sounds like a weirdo to me.
So then...
but good for him for actually coming to his senses.
For having exactly... Like,
well, even this, I wonder if he quit on purpose so that he would need to get new representation. So this lawyer could be like,
he did.
Hey, here's these... I don't know what's on them or anything. I never watched them, but maybe you should give him a watch. You know, probably... Like,
I think he actually admitted to everything, and I think he was charged.
Good.
So... The new lawyer, Rosen, he wanted the trial, he petitioned to have the trial moved from St. Catharines where the crimes had occurred because at this point there's a lot of infamy and they really didn't think that there was going to be a jury in St. Catharines that was going to give Paul Bernardo a fair trial. So the judge agreed in November to move the trial, and it took all the way until the very next year in May for the jury selection. It took 2 days. Out of 1,000 people, they finally found a 12-person jury that wasn't biased.
Everybody that's ever told me that they're like, oh, God, I got jury duty. I'm like, what? I'm like, what do you mean? That'd be the best thing ever. I wouldn't even care if my boss wouldn't give it to me off. I would go. Like, to be, especially this trial, could you imagine? But again, they probably had to wean so many people out that were like,
Well, as soon as you admit that you took an interest in it and that you are biased at all, you can't be on the jury. So they had to find 12 people that had been living under a rock or didn't speak English or something, or lied.
I may delete this episode if I ever get selected for jury duty, so that I could just lie and say that I was. No, I'm not a fan of true crime at all.
Have a true crime podcast?
Yeah, no, not me. I'm the wrong one. So
the trial started.
Yeah. So yeah, on May 18th, the trial finally began, and like we said, it had to be moved to Toronto just because of how small St. Catharines was, and like you said, everybody's like, "Oh my God," and everyone thinks that they're already guilty, basically, or he is, right? And so the prosecutor opened up with a statement, pretty much portraying him, Bernardo, as a sadist who beat the shit out of his wife and blackmailed her about killing her sister and being involved, and just kind of held that over her head. And she was an abused wife, and he was the murderer who basically took both of the
responsible for everything.
Yeah, he was totally at fault. She didn't. That's how he portrayed him in the opening statement.
But then on May the 31st, guess what came out? The videos. Oh. Jurors began watching the videotapes that were depicting the sexual assaults of Kristen French, Leslie Mahaffey,
even of Carla's sister, right? Yeah,
and Jane Doe, because there was 2 separate incidences, remember, with her also.
Yeah, and then on June 19th, Homolka actually got up and testified that she was pretty much beaten into doing all these things. Like, beaten and married to a horrible man that made her do all these things, and she was a victim, and she watched him kill Leslie Mahaffey and Kristen French, and obviously her sister. So,
but on the cross-examination, Paul's defense lawyer alleged that Kristen French was choked to death while Karla was beating her with a mallet.
But she denied that,
yeah,
right?
She denied it.
So on August 14th, the Crown ends its case 3 months in and 86 witnesses later.
And on August 15th, the defense begins its case. Bernardo admits to a lot of stuff. Like,
that's what I mean. He has no problem admitting what he's done. He's like, yeah, I raped all those people, and but he did never, right? ever, even after he was convicted, ever say that he's done the murders. He always said that she did them.
He said, like, as out of control as my life was, I was not in the room when both of those girls died.
So, I mean, obviously nobody believed him. But yeah, on the 22nd of August, the Crown finished cross-examining Bernardo, and the defense wrapped up its case. And about 7 days later, in the closing argument, Rosen admits that his client is the devil. Pretty much.
The devil incarnate.
Yeah. So he was, yeah.
I mean,
after watching those, though, yeah, you would, what else do you think?
He says that he kidnapped and raped and confined the 2 girls, but that the Crown did not prove that he murdered them.
Well, and he says, basically, you guys are getting played, and
yeah, like, look at these tapes.
Yeah, Karla Homolka is not this innocent victim she's portraying. So he was trying to advocate for his client, like, okay, yeah, he's a piece of shit, but he is not the only one that was involved in these, and that she's pretty much pulling the wool over your guys' eyes, because we've seen these videos, you guys can see just as well as I can
that Karla had way more to do with it.
That she had way more to do with it. So the jury deliberated for 8 hours, and they came back and they pretty much said on September 1st, Bernardo was guilty on all of the 9 counts he was charged with, and they sentenced him to life in prison with no parole for 25 years on the 2 murder charges of Kristen French and Leslie Mahaffey.
So Karla went to jail, but she only went for a short period of time. She was moved to a couple different jails. So she was in the Kingston Penitentiary at first. And then,
it's funny because so was he.
Yeah, they both were. And then in 1997,
till death do us part,
she was moved to Joliet Prison in Quebec. And she loved it there, actually. And she embraced when she knew she was going there, she knew she was going to be moved there for quite a while. And she learned to speak French. She learned, apparently, to speak French impeccable.
Okay. Well, so way better than you. Okay, so, wow.
Anyway, she also
I hope the next case is Spanish, and then you guys can really get mom's pronunciation.
So she also had an affair with a transgendered woman at that jail.
Which,
Along
would it be an
standing.
affair? Because didn't she try to file for
Well, it
divorce?
was like a love affair. It
Yeah,
wasn't a marital,
Oh, because
extramarital
like,
affair. No, she had a
I'm
love
pretty sure
affair,
they were divorced.
and her lover's name was Linda Verano, and she said that Karla looks so innocent, so she can't imagine that she did all this stuff and that she was,
You're
such
getting
a perfect
played.
person.
What's her name?
Linda.
Linda, you are getting played, Linda.
And then she was moved to Saint Anne de Plan.
You're really killing the French today.
Where she had a relationship with a male inmate that was also a convicted killer.
Oh.
So they used to go up to the fence apparently and mutually masturbate each other and do all this other stuff.
Where's the guards?
I don't know what happened there. It was kind of like, I think, like a medium
security.
Wow. But like the men are on one side and the women on the other. And then she was released from jail on July 4th, 2005.
Yeah, just 12 years later.
Yes.
Just no big deal. Walk in the park. Yeah,
And
much to Canada's dismay and the dismay of the world.
Her family not, though. They picked her up and...
Well, yeah, because they're ride or dies.
Yeah.
They ride or...
One of them did die.
Yeah, so well, there you go. And they still were there,
So she ended up married to her lawyer's brother. So she married her lawyer's brother.
Why would you marry someone where you just watched or someone that's related to you that literally just like what?
And I'm sure that the lawyer was a female lawyer, but she must have seen the tapes of all of that
and
stuff.
then be like, whoa, okay.
Hey, I got something to introduce you to, bro.
My brother will not now because he's met a really sweet, cute girl, but before it was like, he would show me someone and I'm like, no, imagine
protective.
Protective.
Like, here, why don't you marry this murder killer rapist
who raped her own sister and, killed her and killed a bunch of innocent
and better
girls.
yet, why don't you have some children with her?
Yeah.
So she married Thierry Bordelais and they had 3 children. They moved to Antille in the Caribbean.
I don't blame her because everybody knows who she is here.
Well, she changed her name to Leanne.
Okay, she didn't change her face.
What was weird too is she also changed Paul and her both changed their last name to Teal.
Which was out of a book about, this is the part that gets me. It was out of a book that he liked that was the name of a serial killer. So if you were not guilty, why would you change your name to, what was it, Jason Teal or what is it?
Yeah, Jason Teal.
But
she was Leanne Teal.
But why would she follow suit and do that?
And they weren't even together at the time.
That's what I mean.
That was after he had assaulted her.
There's some weird shit going on. I don't know.
So everyone thought she was still living in Antille, but her sister was contacted by Luca Magnotta.
Yeah, and I remember because for me I have a fascination with Luca Magnotta. I just gave birth to my son when all this stuff went down. And I remember I didn't really have anything else to do, obviously be a mom, but it was remember how enamored I was with that case? Because it was so crazy. He's sending body parts here.
And Luca Magnotta sent stuff to Karla Homolka's sister.
Yeah, because he is a weird fame seeker. We will definitely do Luca. We will. That's gonna be like a special episode. So
better hope Luca doesn't try to decide to contact you after you use that voice.
Well, no, I don't mean Well, you know how I feel about true crime.
Oh my God, that sounded like you were jonesing to meet Luca.
I mean, I'm not gonna say no.
So then it was discovered when Luca was trying to contact Karla's sister that Karla was actually living as Leanne Bordelais in Quebec. And she was volunteering at her children's school. And
they were probably elementary school.
Yeah.
So think about her victims. They were 14, 15? Yeah.
So, imagine the parents at that poor school when that broke.
Well, how would you think that nobody, because yes, she's aged, obviously, right? It's 15, 20 years later. But she looks the exact same, except a little old, which you don't all of a sudden just look different because you're a little older.
But
Like,
one thing, I don't know, like if a lot of you that are not Canadian know, like how separate Quebec is from the rest of the country.
yeah.
Their case wasn't actually even that famous in Quebec. So that's why she liked it there so much, is because she was able to camouflage. I read all about that too.
Oh, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
no one really even gave a shit about like, oh, who's this lady? And she spoke
Yeah.
impeccable.
Impeccable. Fuck.
Français.
François.
Muy bien.
Oh, okay. We're gonna wrap that up. Wrap up
Anyway,
the French. Anyway,
so
so
Danica, you probably have some information on that's Karla now, but you probably have some information on Paul and where he ended up.
well, I mean, as soon as he was guilty, right? So he went right to Kingston Penitentiary, like we said. But in 2013, he was moved to Millhaven Institution, and he's still there. So while Paul was first incarcerated in the beginning, and obviously probably still, he was kept in isolation, like to himself, because segregation, yes, because he was getting beaten up, and like we always talk about, that's my favorite part of every case, is the jailhouse law, right? So they, knowing that he raped and murdered kids, or basically kids, teenage girls and young girls, helpless girls, he was, victimized in jail because that's what other people want to do to you. There's other violent people in there. Like one time he was coming out of a shower in 1996 and he was punched in the face by another inmate. And then in 1999, 5 convicts tried to basically gang up on him. They stormed into the separate area, the segregation range where he lived, and a riot squad had to get used with like tear gas and all this stuff to disperse them away from Paul's area.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So he also, in 2006, it came out that he admitted to having sexually assaulted at least 10 other women's, sorry, whoa, women, and that they didn't know about. And that's also, he's going to obviously try, in my opinion, you try to, when the flame kind of dulls a bit.
The infamy goes down, you try to bring it back.
Yeah, because I think at this point, you probably just...
Well, it doesn't matter because he's never going to get out. Even though he said in 2006 that he is a great candidate for reform and...
Yeah, he was ready to be released because he wasn't eligible until 2010 under the faint hope clause, our favorite faint hope clause. I think that should be called "What the fuck was someone thinking" clause, because that's
very
stupid.
Interesting to me. Like, I've never heard of something like that anywhere else.
It's almost like the person that thought of that was a horrible criminal.
Yeah, like
because they were like, in case I get caught for this crime, I'm gonna make this faint hope clause that's absolutely fucking stupid that allows the most horrific people to victimize their victims' families or their loved ones over and over and over.
Yeah, I
again.
mean, when the faint hope clause was happening, which it's not anymore now. I think it was abolished now, but it was every 2 years they could bring their families of their victims back to the parole board.
Well, remember Clifford? Yeah, he would be like, haha. Like he would use it as
like
his own
sadistic fuck clause, really.
That's what it should be called. The sadistic fuck clause.
Yeah.
There you go. Let's fuck. Well, I mean, don't bring it back, but that's what we're gonna refer to it from now on.
As the sadistic fuck clause. Yeah. So Paul basically spends his days in a segregated unit,
like 23 hours a day, which. I mean, good for you. That's what you deserve. But I wish that Karla was in there also for 23 hours a day. But what do you do?
She's busy raising children.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how she could go to jail.
I wonder if her family still talks to her.
Yeah, apparently they do.
That's fucking crazy.
Yep.
Oh. So via video conference or whatever, or Zoom probably, because it wasn't Zoom. But
I think Zoom was invented.
It wasn't. Well, it was, because this is only 2018. So it was probably fucking Zoom.
I thought Zoom just got invented in 2020.
No, Zoom's been around.
Oh, that's why there's Zoom pirates.
Yeah, which is hilarious that they're Zoom pirates. We heard about it was what was it?
It was an AA meeting, and someone pirated the AA meeting and started saying, "Why don't you go have a drink, you old bitch?" In the middle of the AA meeting.
So yeah, well, this one didn't get pirated, but this one was for the first time he was pretty much allowed to do his first pitch to the parole board 25 years later, after he's been in prison, he was like super eager and he was very docile and like kind of distracted a little bit.
Maybe he
And
forgot who he was.
yeah, probably. But he claimed that he worked through all the traumas and confronted the psychological reasons for all that he was like so sadistic and fucked up, like everything that he did. So
Yeah.
he got to the root of it and said it was low self-esteem and misguided coping mechanisms, and he was under a lot of stress, and it was like the adverse effects of stress mixed with alcohol, which okay, I haven't drank for 6 years, but before that I had a lot of adverse side effects from stress and alcohol, but I didn't rape anybody or kill them.
Well, honestly, I mean, I'm not condoning at all what he did at all, like zero part of me, but he had a pretty fucked up
He did, yeah.
childhood. I mean, I can't condone it, but I can't understand, makes me not be able to understand even more the fact that Carla had like
A beautiful
an
childhood,
ideal
yeah.
childhood and she was just as fucked up, if not more fucked up than he was.
Well, and that's yeah, and there's again, is that created or are people born like
Well,
that? And that's the
it's
argument,
both, right? I
right?
mean, they've proven that it's both, and
Of
he
course.
definitely, I think, probably had a little bit of both.
Well, and experiencing trauma, actually one of my best friends, she just did she's looking into and trying to explain that, and it's basically if you have trauma in early parts of your life, that it rewires your brain, and
Yeah,
obviously if you're having
it does.
those kinds of traumas or you're seeing fucked up shit like that, you either carry on to mirror those behaviors,
Yeah.
or you go and it affects you in another way where it gives you other issues. But he was obviously trying to say that he was ready to get out of jail now because he's been in for 25 years.
But that's psychopathy too. Like, you can't trust even anything that a psychopath says later on. Like, can you?
No, and he's, what he said? He was trying to say to them, like, sex is a really small part of my life now. And like, well, yeah, because you've been in jail for 25
And
years
segregation.
by your damn self,
Like,
right?
are you serious that you don't? I bet he draws on that every single time he masturbates. He thinks about what he's done. Like, honestly,
Well, yeah, he was trying to say, like, I didn't consider my victim's emotions and I should have, and I offended to raise my self esteem.
and I cry every
I
day.
cry every day, and like obviously nobody's feeling sorry for you, right? So one of them was like, Mr. Bernardo, please, like kind of
Yeah.
tried to be like, look, bitch, you're Paul Bernardo. Like we know what you did. It was on film. You can't. I do believe in people having second chances, but like that's
Not
like
that kind of
no,
people.
that's what I mean. That's like saved for like people that have had addictions and people that have done wrong but come and changed, and but not because you're in
But
jail
that's what
facing.
he was trying to draw on that.
Yeah, but
But it was
that's
a
bullshit.
little over the top.
Yeah, that's why they're like, Mr. Bernardo, please.
Yeah.
So yeah, bullshit, crazy.
Definitely twisted for sure.
Well, there was a couple books and films and other things, obviously, because when you're watching Law and Order Special Victims Unit, like me, and they start to get like into like a something that's based on true crime, and you see that it's like, oh, a beautiful husband and wife, beautiful killer, like they
Yeah, well, you know that's them right
exactly,
away.
yeah.
Like
So
loosely based or
yeah,
maybe less loosely than you'd like.
well, yeah, well, there's even that with a lot of the Picton case, Willie.
Oh,
So
Willie,
you
Willie
remember him?
Robert.
Do you remember him?
Yeah.
Brief,
Vaguely.
barely, vaguely, right? Yeah, no. But really, I mean, I don't even remember what I was talking about. What was I saying? I need to stop smoking pot. What was I talking about? What was I
I
saying?
think you're just droning on about Willie.
Oh God. Every time Willie gets me. I always forget what I was
Made you
talking
gap
about.
out.
Yeah, no, I think what I was saying was
A lot of things are loosely based on this case because this case was
oh yeah,
so
there you
perverse
go.
and so shocking.
Freaking Willie does that every time.
And that's what happened in the end.
I was just kidding. I don't actually smoke pot, everybody. It was just a joke.
Yeah. The lie detector determines that is a lie.
But anyway, there was books and like movies and shows and all this stuff. And I know in 2005 there was the one done with Laura Prepon, the girl
like
from
her.
that '70s show, as Carla Homolka. I didn't hear very good things about it, but I mean I don't know. I don't like the way they do a lot of movies.
Yeah.
If I honestly, maybe I should go into directing because I think I could fucking beat the shit out of the directing chair.
Perfect.
I'd be the best fucking director anyone ever saw.
Yeah, you swear like a trucker.
Well, maybe I'll direct a lot of
Where you got that from?
trucker. Well, maybe you shouldn't have had a baby with a trucker. How about that? One that just learned English in a logging camp. Anyway, fuck that guy. I actually was conceived through just my mom.
Masturbation.
Oh god. I was gonna say solo. Actually, I'm Jesus's child. I don't know how that works. I'm just kidding.
The
I don't
fake
know
hope clause.
what was it? The sadistic fuck clause.
Yeah.
So yeah, that essentially brings us to the end of Karla Homolka, who could be listening to this podcast because she's out and about.
She wouldn't be because Leanne Teal might be, but she wouldn't.
Oh yeah, because Karla Homolka.
Leanne
Bordeaux. Bordeaux.
Bordelais.
Is that
Francais.
I don't know. Okay, well. Anyway, that brings us. Oh yeah, that's it. Bold for Love, that Special Victims episode, Special Victims Unit. It was about them. Sorry. Like Benson and Stabler, those are my guys. So I know. But anyway, this was
Maybe
just.
we'll reenact this podcast one day.
Yeah, maybe. But I'll direct it, so it'll be done properly.
Yeah.
But that brings us to the end of this sick and twisted episode of the Ken and Barbie Killers.
Part 2.
We made you guys wait. A fatal attraction. Was that what it was?
A fatal connection.
Oh, a fatal connection. Yes.
And next time in 2 more weeks, you guys, is going to be our 10th episode already. And
number 10.
I know that we're going to have something super, super, super fucking awesome and suspenseful. I'm saying this because it's Danica's turn. So.
Whoa. That's a lot of pressure.
The build-up is large.
So I have quite a few being the true crime cat that I am. I was trying to think of a good word, but nothing came. Anyway, I fucking love true crime. So being, like I said, my mom used to fall asleep to it and I would sit there and watch it all. So, but they were always reruns because she'd already seen them. So obviously
it's comforting now.
And so I watched a lot of cases that made me like, like every time more and more. So I got a lot. I have quite a list of the ones that you know what? I'm just getting started. So
I think I know which one you're gonna do. I'm not gonna say anything, but if it's
don't look at that big mural on my wall with that big ass picture of who you think it is. Yes, I have a serial killer wall in our room.
Podcast, yeah.
Yeah. And P.S. we were supposed to film for you guys today, and I just remembered right now.
Well, all that marijuana.
So you know what? Hey, whoa. It's 2020. It's Canada. Haven't you? It's legal. We will have a very special case for you guys not next week, the week after.
I think we should get all dolled up and try to record on a day that I didn't get up at 2:00 in the morning.
And then drive the bus all day?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And you know what? You know what we'll do for you guys this week is we'll post maybe a picture of ourselves or maybe not. I don't know. I don't know. But it's just, yeah. I mean, we want you guys to see us when you put a face to the name. Maybe you guys will, I don't know.
Maybe you'll understand why we're so
great.
Why
we're so fucking awesome. Anyway, well, we love you guys, and thanks for joining me on Murder with My Mother, where I talk murder with my mother. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Stay safe. Wear your mask. Wash your hands. Don't be gross.
Don't pick your nose.